Tennessee basketball over the weekend beats Florida 64-44. They were bound from a big loss to a 2-game losing streak, a top 5 Florida team with 2 players out, by the way. And Chaz Lanier was really the only offense for them. They won with defense. Chaz Lanier, 5 of 9 from 3, really seemed to get his footing back. So with that in mind, I got to say he's hot. I got to give Chaz Lanier some credit. I mean, I called him out on Friday. I said, it's time for Chaz Lanier to meet the moment, because he's been putting up a lot of great stats without meeting the moment. And in this game, he met the moment. He finally decided that, hey, I'm not just decided. He finally was able to shoot well when given the looks against an important team like Florida.
Okay, let me ask you this, though, and I'll update our poll question here momentarily. But you have been all over the place with Chaz, and that's fine. We're reactive people. But let me throw this at you for just 1 second, if I may. Will you be hot on him a week, 2 weeks from now in March?
I still can't go there yet. I can't go if he just got lucky and got hot for 1 game. And again, this wasn't a close game since Tennessee kind of controlled it. So I can't say I'll be hot on him a week from now, particularly when, like I'm saying, what would Chaz Lanier have done if this were a game within 5 points instead of a 20-point game?
He seems to be a front runner.
He does. It's very Cam Newton-esque, isn't it? From back in the day. Cam Newton was it.
I'll take Cam Newton. I'll go NBA-wise, another guy. I always thought Ray Allen. He was a great shooter. I think probably the greatest shooter of all time. But he did a lot better when his team was doing better.
That is true. That's a good one. Except for that 3 he hit to save LeBron a ring in 2013. But
agreed.
Yes,
if you shoot that well, you're going to hit one every once in a while.
And he was so open there, he should have hit it.
So open.
So yeah. With that in mind, yeah, I could see that. Chaz Lanier is very much a front runner, and that's you know what, Dave, you're talking to me. I'm still cold on Chaz Lanier. Nope, I'm still cold on him because here's the thing: Chaz Lanier you're right, when things are going well and Tennessee's defense is playing well and Florida is shooting a record low percentage from the field, which they did. Okay, Chaz Lanier will hit some threes, but like, what is Chaz Lanier going to do when Tennessee's in an offensive funk against a top 10 team and another team's on a 10-12-0 run and they got to do something to get out of it? Can Chaz Lanier get a bucket to get out of it? He still hasn't shown he can do that.
Well, and that leads me to Matt's comment. I want to bring that up. Matt, with a very good comment that I think is apropos. He said, where was he? I've lost Matt. Okay. They found space for Chaz finally, especially in the second half. That was supposed to be his job, to create space for himself by taking it to the rack. So yes, they found space for him, but if they run to have to depend on that, that makes no sense to me. John says Chaz Lanier is, if I can pull it up, where did it go? Chaz Lanier is a problem. I think he's in the corner and won't drive an open lane when he doesn't feel like it, too inconsistent for the money. I will tell you that somebody called me over the weekend, and this is a basketball coach that knows what he's talking about. He goes, why in the world is Chaz Lanier just sitting in the corner? And I said, I have no answer for that. Hot or cold? Yes.
And Tony Jones called him out last week for it on our show. I mean, like, he was sitting in the corner, and people were complaining about Zakai Zeigler shooting too many threes. But I'm like, guys, Ziegler's doing this because the primary scorer is taking himself out of the game. I mean,
I'm with you.
It's kind of like Allen Iverson had a great quote one time because, he shot some of his analytics are really bad because he shot such a low percentage. But he had a quote. He said, if I pass the ball to Eric Snow and he passes it to Aaron McKee and he passes it to Dikembe Mutombo and he passes it back to me and now there's 3 seconds in the shot clock, what am I supposed to do?
Plus, any of those guys you just mentioned probably shot a much lower percentage than Allen Iverson. So if I'm hitting, I'm just throwing a number out, 48%, 55%, and I pass it to that dude and Eric Snow's hitting 24, does anybody win? Okay, Tennessee's defense, hot or cold? I would have to think hot. Yeah, I mean, I would have to think hot over the weekend.
Hot, very hot. And they got lucky that Florida shot such a low clip, but at the same time, they contested every single shot. And I know he didn't score a lot because he's still trying to get rhythm, but Rick Barnes holding Darlington Dubar back just because of his defense is not that great of a look right now, because Darlington Dubar played very good defense in this game. And
I got bigger problems with Dubar than that.
I get it, but you held him back for defense, and his defense really showed up. Jemai Mashak. I think moving Dubar at the 4, here's what I'm going to say. Hot take. I'm a little higher on. That's a very hot take. And I agree.
By the way, for those on our audio platform, Chaz saying on our post, Chaz is the one guy you expect to make open shots. That's his primary job. So finish your point, please.
I think Dubar can be a little more physical guarding guys under the basket than Igor Milicic can. And I think that.
Yeah. I mean, why did one basketball coach, again, I'm not going to out him, but why did one basketball coach call me and say, I know why Dubar's not playing in the first half of that Auburn game? It's because effort. Sometimes effort is fighting through picks, and sometimes effort is doing exactly what you're talking about. So let's move on. So I want to get to a couple of things. Rick Barnes, is he hot or cold right now? Tennessee's depth, is it hot or cold right now? Because I think this basketball team's showing you a little something. I will be able to call City Heating and Air Conditioning anytime I need to and know that I'll get top flight service. I've had other people that have come out and said thousands of dollars before I knew City Heating and Air Conditioning. They're like, oh, we can get this fixed. It just needs a part. Again, hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
All right, who's up next for us, Caleb?
Rick Barnes.
Yeah. Here are my thoughts. He's lukewarm, Rick Barnes. He's always kind of lukewarm. He's, to me, never like the greatest X's and O's coach. He coaches great defense. He recruits at a decently high level.
He develops players extremely well.
He develops players, but I can't upgrade him for anything he's done recently. So to me, he's still Rick Barnes.
Rick Barnes is the Mark Richt of college basketball. Mark Richt, I thought, was a little bit less on the X's and O's front. Wouldn't you agree, Dave? But he had principles. He never sacrificed those principles, and he always, whatever else you think of him, he always developed players. And he's probably one of the best men to ever coach football in the SEC. Mark Richt, isn't he?
Yes. I wouldn't argue with any of that, and I like the similarity that you're throwing out there. I hope for Rick Barnes' sake that he's able to at least make another Final Four run or win a championship, because you know that still has to bug Mark Richt to this day, right?
Oh, yeah. And he would have had one if Terrence Edwards didn't drop a 4th down pass against Florida in 2002. But it's I'm hot on Rick Barnes for what he's doing this year, because he's had to adjust a lot more than he planned to. Again, he didn't plan to lose JP Estrella for the season. He didn't plan for Baylor to tamper and take Cameron Carr away from him in December. He didn't plan for he didn't plan for Zakai, Zeigler, and Igor Milicic to both be hurt in this game. So he's running way fewer guys than he went 7 deep in this game, and he expected to have 4 other guys that would have been rotational guys at the beginning of the year. So I'm gonna say hot this year.
Let's go to the final one. Vols' best hoops attribute is Chaz, Vols D, Rick Barnes. Vols depth at 4%. I'm surprised this made the list, Caleb. I think their depth, they were lucky to go 7 deep at Auburn. It's not good.
What does it say, though, that they could go 7 deep and win this game when they had 2 players out?
Well, I think it says that those guys played hard, but if you're asking me about the depth, they don't have great depth.
Shouldn't they be able to go 9 deep now? If they can do this to a team going 7 deep with 2 players out, doesn't that mean they should be able to go 9 deep when both players are back and they can play all of them 20 minutes or so?
I mean, I guess you would think so, but that doesn't seem to be the way this team is constructed. And Rick Barnes has always had a short bench, hasn't he?
No, okay, it depends. Rick Barnes has had a shorter bench than he should because Rick Barnes has this principle of you earn playing time. So he's borderline. I don't know if you guys know the moment of Gene Hackman and Hoosiers where he was benching a guy on principle, and then a player fouled out, and they only had 4 players, and he's like, I'm not putting this guy back in. My team's out there right now. Like, it's that type of, like, it was stupid. It was dumb. That movie's really, really stupid, guys. But it's like Rick Barnes is kind of that type of principle of like, I will sacrifice my depth if someone's not doing what I think they need to do to get on the court because I believe you earn playing time. And that leads to a short bench a lot of times.
So big TS in South Dakota. I assume you're in South Dakota. I just says SD. Rick finally got out of his chair and worked the referees to this game. The reason I want to bring this comment up, I think Rick Barnes is damn serious about turning this into a physical defensive team because he realizes he can't throw up 80, 90 points a game. I think that's where he is. And if you don't like it, then you're not going to be on board.
Yeah, and he didn't want to do that, by the way, because that's not Rick Barnes' principles. That used to be his principles, and he thought they would cost him in the tournament. But he doesn't really have much of a choice now because the offense is so limited. Because, yeah, Igor played well against Kentucky, but still disappeared way too often offensively when he was left open on shots. Chaz Lanier is so streaky and is scared of the moment, and you know, it's leading to a certain degree. I think because the scores that are supposed to be the scores aren't doing what they need to do, I think it's leading to Zakai Zeigler playing a little more out of control than he typically does. And
a little bit. I was the Mr. Zakai is out of control guy. I'm not willing to go there with you quite yet.
Well, the Kentucky game, I thought he was out of control. And I thought he was out of control because when other players aren't doing what they need to do, Zakai starts pressing a little bit to try to force something because nobody else will. And that ends up being to a detriment because whatever else you can say about Zakai and you can love him, but he's not a scorer.